I didn't mean to. No! No! This isn't happening!
I was washing someone else's blood off my hands when the sirens began. The water in the motel sink ran rusty pink, spiraling down the drain like it was trying to escape me. My fingers trembled, scrubbing too hard, skin burning under cheap soap. I kept telling myself the same thing over and over. This isn't mine, but blood doesn't care about truth. Outside, the neon sign flickered. Pinewood Motel, buzzing like a dying insect. Room 17 smelled of mold, cigarettes, and fear. Mostly fear, mine. My phone lay on the bed, screen cracked, lighting up with missed calls I hadn't answered. Sheriff Daniel Crow, 3 times, then one from my sister, then another from an unknown number I didn't dare open. I knew what they were calling about. Everyone in Ashford knew by now. Ethan Miller was dead, and somehow, impossibly, the last person seen with him was me. I dried my hands on the motel towel and stared at my reflection in the mirror. 32 years old, brown hair pulled back too tight, eyes too wide, like a deer frozen in headlights. I didn't look like a murderer, but I hadn't looked like a liar either, until tonight. Ashford was the kind of town people forgot existed. One main street, one diner, one sheriff who'd been in office since before I left for college and stupidly came back. The kind of place where secrets didn't stay buried because there wasn't enough ground to hide them. I'd grown up here, everyone knew me, which meant everyone would believe them. Ethan Miller wasn't just someone, he was the golden boy, high school football legend, real estate success story, married, respected, admired. And I was, convenient, I was the woman who'd argued with him in public, the woman who'd threatened to expose him, the woman whose fingerprints were now smeared across the crime scene. It had started that morning with a knock on my office door. I ran a small accounting firm above the hardware store. Numbers, spreadsheets, quiet work, safe work. Ethan stormed in like he owned the place, expensive suit, charming smile stretched thin. "You don't get to ignore me, Mara," he said. My name sounded wrong in his mouth. I told him to leave. He didn't. He leaned close, voice low. "You push this any further, you'll regret it." That was the last time anyone saw us together. At least, that's what the police would say. By evening, I was standing in his house. I still didn't fully understand how I got there. He'd texted me an address. "We need to talk." Now, against my better judgment, I went. The door had been unlocked. The living room lights were on, and Ethan was lying on the floor, throat slit so deep I thought for a moment his head was barely attached. I screamed. I remember that part clearly. I dropped my phone. I knelt beside him like an idiot, touching him, shaking him, smearing his blood all over myself while my brain refused to work. I didn't hear anyone enter, but I felt someone behind me, a presence, a breath. Then a voice, calm and steady. "I wouldn't do that if I were you." I turned, and then nothing, just a gap, a hole in my memory like a missing tooth my tongue keeps finding. Next thing I knew, I was outside, my car keys in my hand, Ethan's blood on my clothes. And the sound of sirens in the distance. A knock snapped me back to the motel room. Sheriff's office opened the door. My heart slammed against my ribs. I didn't move. Another knock. Louder, angrier. "Mara Collins, we know you're in there." Of course they did. Ashford always knew. I backed away from the door, eyes scanning the room like there might be another exit. There wasn't. Just 4 walls closing in. "I didn't do it." I whispered to no one. The knob turned. I had seconds. I grabbed my phone and slipped into the bathroom, locking the door just as the main door burst open. Heavy footsteps, voices. Daniel Crow's voice, disappointed, almost sad. "Mara," he said, "you're making this worse." I sat on the cold tile floor, hugging my knees, mind racing. Someone had set me up. They'd known my history with Ethan. They'd known I'd go there. They'd made sure I touched everything, and whoever they were still out there, watching, waiting, as the bathroom door shook under another knock. One thought burned brighter than fear. If I didn't find the real killer, Ashford would bury me alive. They didn't arrest me that night. That almost felt worse. Sheriff Daniel Crow stood in the motel doorway while 2 deputies searched the room behind him. turning over my bag, opening drawers, pretending they weren't already convinced. His face carried the same expression he'd worn when he told my parents my car had been found abandoned after senior prom. Brave, patient, certain I'd screwed up. "Mara," he said quietly, "why don't you come down to the station with us, just to talk, just to talk." In Ashford, that phrase was a courtesy, not a choice. The interrogation room smelled like burnt coffee and old paper. They gave me a blanket I didn't need and took my clothes for testing. I sat there in borrowed sweatpants, barefoot, staring at the one-way mirror. I wondered who was watching. Daniel asked the questions himself. He always had. He knew how to sound kind while tightening the rope. "You threatened Ethan," he said, flipping through a thin folder, multiple witnesses. "I didn't threaten him," I said. "I warned him." "About what?" I hesitated, not because I didn't know, but because saying it out loud felt dangerous. Financial fraud. I said finally, he was laundering money through shell companies. I found it while auditing a client. Daniel raised an eyebrow. "And you didn't go to the authorities?" "I was gathering proof, or leverage," he said gently. I clenched my hands in my lap. He was scared, Daniel. He knew I knew. Daniel leaned back, studying me. "Funny thing is, Ethan told his wife you were obsessed with him. That landed hard. Rachel said you wouldn't leave him alone. Daniel continued that you kept showing up, making accusations." "That's a lie." Daniel sighed. "That's what everyone says. They let me go just before dawn, no charges, yet, when I stepped outside, Ashford looked different, like it had already made up its mind. A patrol car idled across the street. Someone's curtains twitched. News travels fast in a town this small, and suspicion travels faster. By the time I reached my house, my phone was buzzing nonstop. Unknown numbers, missed calls, texts that weren't even trying to be subtle. You ruined a good man, confess. People like you always get what they deserve. I deleted them without replying, but each one carved something out of me. Inside, my house felt violated, not watched. I locked the door and leaned against it, breathing hard. That was when I noticed something new. My filing cabinet was open. I knew I'd locked it. I crossed the room slowly, heart pounding, and flipped through the folders. Everything looked untouched at first, until I reached the back. The Ethan file was gone. Panic sharpened into clarity. The police hadn't taken it. If they had, Daniel would have said so, which meant someone else had been here. Someone who knew exactly what they were looking for. Someone who knew the truth. I grabbed my keys and left again before fear could talk me out of it. There was only one person in Ashford who might help me now. Someone who didn't trust Ethan and never had. Lena Brooks. Lena ran the town newspaper out of a building that should have been condemned 10 years ago. She'd been chasing Ashford's skeletons for as long as I could remember, and the town hated her for it. She didn't look surprised when she saw me. "They're blaming you," she said, letting me in. "Already printed the special edition. Beloved businessman found dead. You're not named, but you're implied." "I was set up," I said. She poured coffee, slid a mug toward me. "I believe you. That almost broke me. I told her everything. Ethan's threats, the missing file, the gap in my memory." Lena's jaw tightened. "You're not the first person he scared into silence." "Who else?" She hesitated. "Then Tom Avery," the name rang faintly, "the math teacher. Former," she said. "He quit suddenly last year, sold his house, left town. Why? He accused Ethan of blackmail, said Ethan was funding something illegal through the school board, and no one listened. Of course not," Lena said. "It was Ethan. On my way home, I took the long route. Paranoid now, checking my mirrors, my instincts screaming. That's when I saw the car, black sedan, parked across the street from my house, engine running. I slowed. The sedan didn't move. I kept driving. At the next corner, I pulled over and waited. My pulse hammered as seconds crawled by. The sedan passed me a moment later. Slowly, the driver didn't look at me. But the passenger did, a woman mid-30s, brown hair, familiar face, Rachel Miller, Ethan's widow. That night, sleep was impossible. Every sound felt like a warning. Around 2 a.m., My phone buzzed again. This time it wasn't a threat, it was a photo, my house, taken from across the street. Below it, a message, "You don't remember everything, be grateful." I stared at the screen until my hands went numb. They were right, I didn't remember, and whoever killed Ethan was counting on that. The next morning, Daniel Crow knocked on my door. "We found something," he said. My stomach dropped. "What?" "Security footage," he replied. "From a gas station 2 blocks from Ethan's house." I said nothing. Daniel met my eyes. "It shows you leaving his neighborhood at 9:14 p.m. That's impossible." I said. "I was there later." "That's the problem," he said quietly. "The medical examiner estimates Ethan died around 10. My mind raced. Then someone else was there after me. Daniel shook his head slowly. "There's no evidence of that." He paused, then added, "But there is evidence you came back." The room felt like it was tilting. "I didn't," I whispered. Daniel slid a still image from the footage across the table. A woman, hood up, face partially obscured. Same height as me, same build, same walk. I stared at it, heart sinking. Because for the first time since this began, doubt crept in, not about my innocence, but about my memory. As Daniel stood to leave, he said one last thing. "Until we know more, I suggest you stay put. Don't talk to anyone." I nodded. But the moment he was gone, I made a decision. Someone had taken my memories. Someone had stolen my proof. Someone wanted me quiet or broken. They had underestimated one thing. I wasn't afraid of the truth anymore. I was afraid of what would happen if I didn't uncover it, and I was done following their rules. The problem with stolen memories is this: they don't stay buried forever. They leak in dreams, in smells, in the way your body reacts before your mind catches up. That morning, standing in my kitchen with a cup of coffee I couldn't taste, my hands started shaking for no reason at all. Then I smelled it. Bleach. My stomach twisted. The memory hit me like a bruise pressed too hard. Ethan's living room, the lights too bright. Rachel standing near the hallway, calm, too calm, and me on my knees. I dropped the mug. It shattered, coffee splashing across the floor like blood. I sank down with it, breath coming in short, sharp gasps. Rachel Miller had been there, not after, before. I didn't call Daniel. I didn't call Lena. I didn't trust anyone enough anymore. I grabbed my jacket and drove, heart hammering, following the instinct I'd ignored for days. Ethan's house. Police tape still clung to the porch railing, fluttering like a warning. I ducked under it, hands steady now, fear sharpened into something cleaner. Inside, the air was stale, sanitized, but traces remain, they always do. The bleach smell was strongest in the kitchen. I knelt, pressing my fingers against the grout between the tiles. Their faint discoloration, a rushed cleanup, someone panicking, Rachel, she'd always been like that, controlled, polite, invisible, the perfect wife. The rest came back in fragments. Rachel answering the door that night, smiling like nothing was wrong. Ethan yelling at her, voice cracking, me realizing, too late, that I wasn't there to confront him. I was there to witness something I was never supposed to see. Tell her, Rachel had said softly. Ethan laughed. "You think she'll believe you." That was when he turned. That was when the knife flashed. Rachel hadn't screamed. She hadn't hesitated. She'd stabbed him like she'd practiced it. I remembered grabbing Rachel's wrist, blood slick and warm between us. I remembered her eyes then, not wild, not angry, relieved. "You don't remember this yet," she'd said calmly, "but you will." Something burned, my vision blurred. Then, darkness. I came back to myself on Ethan's front lawn, head pounding, blood on my hands, memories fractured and rearranged. Rachel had done it deliberately, drugged me, staged everything, erased just enough. She'd known my history with Ethan, my threats, my temper. She'd built the perfect frame. My phone rang. "Daniel," I answered. "I know who killed Ethan," I said, "and I can prove it. We met at Lena's office. I told them everything, every recovered memory, every missing piece." Daniel listened, face unreadable. Lena recorded it all, fingers flying across her keyboard. Memories aren't evidence, Daniel said carefully. I know, I replied, but patterns are. Rachel had been too present, too composed, the anonymous messages, the gas station footage, she used my car, I said. That's why it looked like me. Daniel's eyes narrowed. We checked the GPS. It was wiped. By someone who knew how, Lena added. Rachel worked IT before she married Ethan. Silence. Then Daniel stood. Let's pay her a visit. Rachel didn't run. She was waiting. Her house smelled like lavender and bleach. She offered us tea with hands that didn't shake. I was wondering when you'd remember, she said, looking straight at me. Daniel stiffened. Rachel, he was going to leave. She continued calmly, and take everything, the money, the secrets. He thought I was weak. She smiled faintly. I wasn't. Lena's recorder blinked red. Rachel sighed. You weren't supposed to suffer, Mara. You were just convenient. That was enough. Daniel arrested her on the spot. The trial was quick by Ashford standards. The evidence stacked higher once they knew where to look. Financial records, the drugs Rachel used on me, security footage from a neighbor's smart doorbell showing her cleaning up. The town turned on her the way it had turned on me. Just faster. Weeks later, I stood outside the courthouse, air sharp and clean. Lena's article hit national news. Ashford would never be the same. Daniel approached me. You're free to go, he said quietly. Officially. I nodded. Relief didn't come the way I expected. It never does. What will you do now? He asked. I thought about it. I'll stay. I said, at least for a while. Someone had to remember the truth here. That night I washed my hands in my own sink. No blood, no fear, just water running clear. I looked at my reflection. Bruised, tired, still standing. Ashford had tried to bury me. Instead, it taught me something. The most dangerous killers don't hide in shadows. They smile at you from across the street and trust you to forget. I won't. Please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.